Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hey, I'm DJ Ross. I am in Mountain View, California.
Every week on Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. This week we're playing Spiritfarer. That's a weird word. Farer.
Farer? Spiritfarer?
Spirit Halloween Farer. Nope.
I don't know about that.
Nope. Rainy Season and SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Oh, okay. All right, let's do it.
Here on Video Game Hangover, we cover the full gamut of video games from Spiritfarer to SpongeBob.
That's, from S all the way over to other S.
Yep. I wasn't going alphabetical. I was doing genre.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I wasn't sure where to place either of those on the genre spectrum, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll dig into that a little bit later. How's things, DJ? I've heard California's on fire again.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, a lot of smoke outside. It's just the end of the world happening. We got the plague. Everything is on fire. Can't go outside because you can't breathe. My electricity went out last week. KK Sliders in my town on a Monday. I don't know what's happening anymore.
It's cats and dogs living together. Yeah.
Nothing makes sense anymore.
Insanity. Yeah.
I was seriously I started up Animal Crossing this morning and I was doing my chores and I walked by the plaza and I'm just like, KK Sliders there. And I'm like, what are you doing here? What day is it?
Yeah.
It's really throwing me off.
Yeah, KK's never performed on a Monday before. It's for the uninitiated. It's typically a Saturday performance from KK Slider. Mm-hmm. But he got moved around. We had a bug off on Saturday, fireworks on Sundays. Yeah.
Well, it used to be if there was another event on Saturday, he would just get preempted. You would miss out that week, right?
Yes, I believe that's right. It's been a while, but
so then they moved him to Sunday. But oh no, there's a Sunday fireworks show now every week. So I was just like, oh, they messed it up. They're going to miss KK again. And then lo and behold, he is here on Monday. He's unstoppable.
Yeah. Yeah. He should really talk to his agent though, because a Monday slot is not really, nobody wants that.
Not great. Like we're doing the show. I can't go to a concert on Monday.
Yeah. At this point, I would kill to go to any concert, anytime. Just pick the day of the week in the city, I will go.
Yeah. It's outdoors. Everything's, everybody's 6 feet apart.
Yeah, socially distanced, of course. But Fridays, man. Friday has nothing going on Friday. You should have picked up Friday, KK. I don't know what he's doing on Monday. That's nutty.
Yeah. That seems like, show up a day early. Let's have a nice Friday night thing.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Now he's just here on Monday, and it's weird.
Yeah. It's fine. He can come back anytime. Come any day of the week, man. I have no problem with that. But
you don't want to get burned out on KK Slider, though.
Yeah, that's true. He's always kind of crowding the door to the town hall.
He does. Yeah, he's real close to the door. I'm just like, excuse me, I gotta, I don't know. Gotta go deposit these bells.
It just every time I've before the world ended, I used to host trivia at a little brewery near me here in Harrisburg, and every now and then they would put my little trivia hosting table a little too close to the restroom. So I would be hosting trivia, and I could hear toilets flushing and people washing their hands, and the hand dryer going in the bathroom. And I imagine that's a little bit like KK's experience, that every time somebody opens a door to the town hall, they're basically bumping the back of his chair while he's trying to sing.
It's okay. I'm the only one who goes in there.
That's true. I don't think I've seen anybody else in there before.
Yeah. I went in there on Sunday during the fireworks show, and Isabel just not at the desk.
It's just Tom Nook hanging out by himself.
Yeah. I was like, that makes sense because she's outside. Yeah. But I was like, what if I need resident services? And I just kind of sat there in the chair thinking that maybe she'll pop into that mysterious back door that nobody ever uses.
Yeah.
But no, I just kind of sat there and nobody showed up.
And nothing. Yeah. Tom didn't cross the line to come over and help you?
No, he was
No.
not his business, I guess.
Was he staring wistfully out the window at the fireworks? That was my experience.
I don't know. He was just doing whatever he's doing.
You're not tracking the comings and goings of Tom Nook.
No. He's his own man.
Yeah.
/ raccoon or whatever he is.
Raccoon dog.
Yeah.
Anyway,
speaking of the world ending.
Yeah.
I almost completely forgot. Man, I was so busy last week, and it was Summer Games Done Quick. I always forget to hype it up on here, so now I am 2 weeks late, and I barely got to even watch it this year, which is too bad because I love that event.
Mm-hmm.
The biannual, semi-annual speedrunning marathon for charity. And it was weird this year because usually they all pile into like a ballroom at a hotel, and there's like hundreds of people in this room, and they have a couch with people doing commentary on whatever games people are playing. But this year it was all streamed online. It was a very different atmosphere. So I'm glad they were able to still do it, but it just wasn't quite the same.
Well, I mean, kudos to those guys for kind of keeping it together and still finding a way to pull off an event and support the charity. That's cool. They were, unless I'm sort of getting my wires crossed, they were at PAX East, which I like to remind myself was this year.
Yeah, this year.
Doing a little sort of mini speedrunning marathon and raising money, I would think, for the charities that they support. So, that might have been the very last public appearance of the Games Done Quick folks.
Yeah, might have been.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize they did a PAX thing, but it seems like, they used to just have I guess they used to have the one event, and then they've changed to two, and now it seems like there's always something going on Twitch. And they'll do like little mini marathons every once in a while throughout the year.
Cool.
But could have been the last in-person thing. That's kind of sad.
Yeah. For the foreseeable future.
There are some good runs though. What did you watch? I like I said, I did not register with me, so I didn't get to completely peruse the entire schedule. But there was an amazing Crypt of the Necrodancer run. They played on the most difficult character who basically, like, you can't take any damage and you die if you miss any beat. And the whole game is just like twice as fast when you're playing this character. So I was watching it, and I played a fair amount of that game, but I could barely parse what was happening on the screen because every like half a second he is jumping from one tile to the next and taking out enemies. Oh, and if you pick up gold, you also die. So that is just an additional weird obstacle. He had to do all these weird kind of loop-de-loops around rooms because there was like gold in the way where he was trying to go. So it was just really ridiculous looking run. One of the most impressive runs that I've seen.
Wow.
There was a really good Super Mario Odyssey run where they did the entire main campaign. They just like picked up all the moons that you need to get through all of the different kingdoms.
Mm-hmm.
Which was cool because
just sort of like a bare minimum run, just enough to sort of get to the end.
Yeah, exactly. And of course they knew like the most effective moons to go and grab and the best paths to get there. But the guy doing it, as you might expect, was just a master of like wall jumping and doing the little jump off of Cappy when Mario throws his hat and it kind of like rebounds off of it while it's still in the air. It was ridiculous.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there are some like advanced not acceleration, what's the word I'm looking for, like, I don't know, just getting around moves in Mario Odyssey that blow my mind. I can't imagine how people pull them off, particularly when they sort of chain them all together. We watched a video of somebody trying to do a long jump from like some one platform across. Normally you have to sort of like take a bridge or take a wire to get over it, and they were bound and determined to jump across it. And it was like 50 fails until one worked, and I was like, I have no idea what you just did. It was nuts. Yeah. So yeah, the people that are good at Odyssey are really, really good at Odyssey.
There was one technique which I think it was kind of popularized or publicized anyway on Kotaku or something when that game came out. It was like you throw the hat and you kind of dive off it, but by doing that you earn yourself another hat throw or something like that. And it was like it could get you a little bit farther than you're supposed to get under normal circumstances. So I remember one afternoon I would just like practice that for probably an hour to try and get through this one area using it. And I got kind of good at doing it. But just watching this run was completely humbling because it looked like he was just barely on the ground at any point. And if he was on the ground, he was just rolling constantly because apparently that's just faster than
That's super fast, yeah.
around. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And like you would be casually like climbing up the sides of buildings and doing commentary the whole time. It was just really unbelievable to watch. So that was super fun.
Cool.
And then finally, they had a guy playing Pump It Up, which, if you don't know about this, it's sort of like it's just like the Korean version of DDR. So it's like a dancing game. And I've never seen a like physical dancing game on the stream before. I guess because it's tough to drag one of those machines to wherever they host this event normally. But since they're streaming it, he just had the setup in like his garage or wherever he has his own personal Pump It Up machine.
Oh, excellent.
And this guy just played like expert level songs for an hour. By the end of it, he looked completely exhausted. I hope he was all right after but it was really unbelievable because the way he would talk about it, he'd be like, well, this song is pretty tough. Only like a single digit number of people who have ever completed the song ever. So it's very difficult. And then he just puts it on and proceeds to, full combo the entire song, gets a triple S rating or whatever the maximum is in that game. It's like, oh,
wow.
I guess that's what happens when you have your own personal Pump It Up machine that you can just play at your leisure.
So this wasn't a situation where he was trying to necessarily speedrun it. He was just sort of doing kind of seemingly impossible things with it.
Yeah. It wasn't really like, I guess you can't really speedrun a music game.
Right.
But it was like a bonus incentive where like if a certain number of people donated, I think it was like 100K or like 150K or something, they would unlock this Pump It Up block. So it was kind of just like a showcase for an hour or so just to watch very high level Pump It Up play, which was very cool.
Excellent. That's great.
Oh, man, it made me think of, I've always wanted, like, if I was going to get an arcade machine for my apartment or whatever, it'd probably be like a big music game or a light gun game or something ridiculous that feels like you can only really get that experience in an arcade.
Right.
But, man, this guy is doing it. It's very impressive. He just has it at home.
Living the dream.
So it was fun. It was a nice week. I was glad I was able to catch what I was able to catch. And I think they are still accepting donations towards Doctors Without Borders. So I will put a link to that and maybe some of the VODs. I hope they have VODs for some of these speedruns in the show post at VGHangover.com if you want to check that out.
Excellent. Well, cool. So did you get in any games this week? I played a couple.
Playing a lot of Final Fantasy. That probably does not come as a surprise. Man, I forgot. It's been so long since there was just new stuff in that game. I forgot just how time consuming it is to just like catch up with everything. But I did manage to play some other stuff on the side. I've been still chipping away at Super Mario RPG. But I also played this game Rainy Season, which is an indie game I've been following for a little while. Actually, for quite a while. Feels like it's been in development for some time.
I don't think I've heard of this. So what is it?
I think maybe you would be into it. It's like I think it's just one guy.
I think we've done this long enough, DJ, that you know to start with the good stuff. So thank you. That's good. That's a plus.
Okay. No, I don't like if I play a game I really don't like, I feel like I don't want to really talk about it on here unless I didn't like it for a very unusual reason. I don't know.
If it was notable in its distastefulness somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
gotcha.
You shouldn't play this game, and the reason why is hilarious. I don't know.
It is a really good 10 to 15 minute long story I can share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's been quite a while since I played a game that I just completely bounced off of.
Oh, well, cool. Wait till I get to SpongeBob.
Okay. Right. I have so many questions about that. But Rainy Season. So it's a game that I believe it's supposed to essentially be a recreation or, a recreation with some liberties about a specific day in the creator's childhood. And it happens in, you're a little kid in Japan. And it's a summer day, and you're supposed to go to the amusement park with your family, but it's raining, so you're just stuck at home instead. And it's a little bit, it feels a little bit to me like Attack of the Friday Monsters on the 3DS, or there's a series of games called My Summer Vacation, which only came out in Japan. I don't know if you ever heard of those, but it gets associated with Attack of the Friday Monsters quite often. But you play this in first person, and you're inside, this little Japanese suburban home. So it also feels a little bit like Gone Home to me, where you spend a lot of time wandering around this house and just kind of looking through people's stuff while you're stuck at home. You're actually at your grandmother's house for the week. So that's also kind of interesting because it's not necessarily your house. So there's a little bit of unfamiliarity with everything around. Mm-hmm. And it's raining, so you can't really go anywhere. So partially it's this memory from the creator's childhood, but I also think that it is kind of a unique simulation of just being bored at home.
Oh, interesting.
Because, people don't really get bored anymore, right? Do you remember being bored when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah, and you're just like kids these days, they won't understand because they get their iPhones and whatever. But, you go stretches, especially during the summer maybe, where you're just bored and there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
These days, I feel like I can't remember the last time I was truly bored doing something. Because you're just like, well, I've been on Reddit for 4 hours straight now. I don't know what happened what has transpired outside.
And that's decidedly not boring.
I don't know. It's not the same as when you were a little kid and there's nothing happening.
I'm so bored. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now you're
there's a difference, as an adult having control over your life. If I'm bored, I'm like, well, I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to go to a place and do a thing. You know what I mean? Or
that's true.
Less now, but I have.
Well, yes. Now you could, maybe people are bored again.
Yeah. I guess I've had sort of days during kind of the lockdown quarantine kind of thing where I'm sort of like, if I have to watch any more Netflix, I will lose my mind. If I have to sit on this couch, I will go crazy. So yeah, there's definitely been kind of stir crazy, more cabin fever kind of moments than bored moments. But yeah, when you're a kid, you don't have control over anything. I really, you are at the mercy of the people who take care of you. And so sometimes you run out of those options. And I get it.
Especially if, you had plans, but they got canceled. So now you're just stuck at grandma's and when's dinner? Oh, it's not for 10,000 hours. So go occupy yourself somehow.
Right.
It's oh man.
So is the rest of the family in the game at home with you, or you compared it to Gone Home, which is a very solitary experience?
They are.
Okay.
That's one major difference, is that your family is in the house with you as well. So you're not just, you're kind of going through stuff and people are there. So you feel like maybe I shouldn't go through this, but nobody ever really comments on what you're doing. So it's fine. You just be a nosy little kid.
Yeah. I wait for that inevitable moment in any RPG, typically, where I walk into some stranger's house and start going through their drawers and cabinets and breaking their crockery.
You get in trouble.
And every now and then, 1 out of 10 RPGs, some character goes, "Hey, what are you doing? Don't break all my crockery." Yeah. Yep.
And that's so exciting.
It's very exciting. Yeah. I'm like, hey, this game is aware.
So you're this little kid and you're just kind of trying to bide your time in this house. So you go around and play with the objects, objects you find. You can inspect them, and it will usually give you some amusing perspective on the object since you're a little kid. Mm-hmm. But occasionally you will run into stuff, and you will discover a daydream, which is just it brings in a little bit of that magical realism from Attack of the Friday Monsters, where I don't want to spoil what happens, but you kind of picture some alternate scene or some amazing, fantastic event that gets layered on top of whatever is happening in normal, mundane reality, which is kind of fun. And it's a little part of the game is just wandering around the house trying to seek out these daydreams.
Cool. And it's understood of the guise of this little kid sort of fixating on a thing and sort of gazing off and letting his mind wander.
Yeah, he has a very active imagination. And also
Excellent.
He's just bored out of his mind. So he's just going around and finding everyday objects and picturing, what if there was some hidden life behind this particular thing, I guess.
Cool.
But
That's
a
one
lot
of the
of the time...
things
Sorry,
not
go
to
ahead.
step on your point, but one of the things I love about Attack of the Friday Monsters is it sort of threads that line between kind of mundane family drama and magical realism, for lack of a more descriptive word, where it's a kid is sort of obsessed with monster movies, and that stuff sort of weaves itself into his day to day,
Right.
and it's pretty seamless in the game. It's not like you have unlocked a daydream and you sort of start thinking about Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
It's very much sort of an active part of his reality.
I like that it's been a while since I played that game, but I remember it starts out you thinking, well, this is, he's just daydreaming, right? He's got an active imagination, but
Just
then
an odd kid, yeah.
Yeah, the lines get progressively blurrier between the daydream and reality as the game goes on.
Yeah. That's a great game. Is that only on the 3DS? Does that exist anywhere else?
I think it's just on 3DS.
Oh. We'll find that if you're listening to this show. I mean, obviously played the game DJ's recommending to you right now, of course, too, but Attack of the Friday Monsters on the 3DS, find that. It's really good.
Yeah, I highly recommend that.
Yeah.
And then if you don't have a 3DS, there's this, which is not quite the same game. It's a very different mood, I think, because it feels like a lot of it is about recreating just this rainy day, cooped up at home atmosphere. But I thought it was a very cool experience. And you do, just for a lot of it, you are just kind of bored at home all the time, which doesn't sound like something you want out of a video game necessarily. But I thought it was great because a lot of the time I would just, I felt like I found most of the daydreams. I had interacted with stuff in the house, and I was like, well, we still got some time before dinner or whatever, so what do I do? And so I'd spend the rest of the time kind of retracing my steps around the house. And it was kind of a combination of just like, have I found everything? Is there something left to interact with? And also like, oh, I have found everything, but I'm still here. How else can I entertain myself? And I was just like actually remembering what it was like to be a bored little kid, which was just a bizarre experience.
Oh, that's great. That's super clever.
Yeah. It's also kind of interesting because when you start the game, you can select how long you want it to be, which is probably the first time I've seen that option in any game, aside from like, we're going to play Mario Kart for 5 minutes, or like Smash Brothers for 5 minutes, or we'll have a 3-minute round instead of a 5-minute match. But in this one, you can set it to, it asks you, how long do you want the day to be? Do you want it to be 20, 40, or 60 minutes long? And I had heard that a lot of the experience was just about being stuck at home. So I thought, okay, let's do it. Let's do the full 60-minute game, and we'll see how that is. And sure enough, there were definitely stretches when I kind of ran out of things to do, and I was just kind of floundering around, just being like, "Oh my god, what, what am I supposed to do? Maybe I'll just go like sit on the porch for a while, or open and close this door until that stops being interesting."
Do you know if the 20-minute version is the same events, just more condensed? It's just a quicker pace, or is it sort of lighter on content?
So I was wondering how the experience differed as well. So I went back actually today and played the 20-minute version, and I don't know if it was like I mean there are a couple of decisions you can make in the game that are not like they don't branch the story dramatically as far as I can tell. But maybe they do, because when I did the 20-minute version, I was just like, oh yeah, there's a decision. I'll pick one of the other choices. And I don't know if it was because of this, or maybe I just stumbled across an event that I didn't trigger during the 60-minute session. But like another event happened, or a different event happened, and some dialogue was different later on. So it could be that there's reason to... I mean, there's definitely a reason to go back and pick some of the different like dialogue options.
Right.
But I don't know if there are events specific to each length of gameplay session.
No, interesting.
So yeah, I don't know if it's a case of I just missed one event the first time around, or if it was only in the 20-minute version. Right.
Cool.
So now I'm kind of curious. I'm like, well, I've played the two extremes. Do I have to go back and check out the 40-minute version?
Do the 40.
There's anything left. It was not really what I was expecting when it first gave me that choice.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, for the most part, it is just a much more condensed version of the game. Like you have like lunch and dinner come up much sooner in the 20-minute version than they do in the 60-minute version. But I think like part of the experience is not really like you shouldn't rush through this thing. I think if you're playing it for the first time, 20 minutes, it might be tough to go around the entire house and find all the daydreams and things and have all the conversations with your family members. So I would recommend, if you're playing it for the first time, at least do the 40-minute one. Maybe go for the 60 minutes if you just want the whole sprawling afternoon in front of you, which I think is kind of fun.
Right. It's an hour. Come on.
Yeah, just an hour.
Yeah.
Fine. So anyway, heartily recommend it. I had a great time with it. Just a really cool atmosphere. Man, it never rains around here, so that was also very exciting. I can't remember the last time there was just like, oh man, it's raining. I'm stuck at home.
The whole day is off because of the rain, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I remember rainy days as a kid. It was before the internet and everything, so.
How did you feel a rainy day when you were a kid?
I don't know. This is taking me back. You remember when like it would rain and you couldn't even watch TV because the reception was terrible?
No.
No? Okay. Maybe
no.
It was just terrible TV as a kid.
I'm not familiar with that. Yeah.
I don't know. Probably like do some drawing, maybe play some video games.
That's pretty good.
Been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't get really like a lot of like homebound rainy days as a kid, but we had snow days in the winter. And that was always sort of like it's a bonus day. So it's not like I was planning on being at school, but now I've got a whole 8 hours I've got to fill with something entertaining. And that was certainly pre-internet because that was a long time ago for me. But yeah, it was not pre-video games. I had my friend Derek as a kid had an NES. And we would always sort of, on snow days, suit up and trek over to his place and play video games all day. And at some point, his parents would bring us pizza, which was exciting.
Oh, man. I wish.
Yeah. It was good. It was a good time. I still like the grown-up equivalent of a snow day.
Which is just like you can't go to work?
Yeah, you just can't get, like, the roads are impassable, the ice is too bad or whatever, and I was planning on going to work today, but now I can't because it's not safe to do so, and my boss agrees, so I'm not going to lose my job over this, and
nice.
Yeah, and now I've got 8 hours to fill with, like, holy shit, I'm going to play every video game ever.
And it's not like they can just tack on another work day to the end of the work year, because that's not a thing.
Right, you got to make it up later.
Yeah.
Oh, like a snow day in school, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, those were always a bummer.
Yeah, it's one drawback.
You had to pay it back later.
The work year, can you imagine? Just like, almost time for summer vacation from my job.
Yeah. No, I can't imagine. It sounds like some crazy European invention.
Yeah, well, Europeans, what are they?
I suspect they do that in Norway or Sweden or something.
That sounds like a Spanish thing to me.
the country that brought you the siesta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just have like mega siesta.
Yeah.
Every June or July.
Midday naps. Yeah. Cool.
So anyway, that is Rainy Season. It's available on itch and Steam for just a few bucks. If you're looking to be bored for an hour, I totally recommend it. If you haven't been paying attention for as long as I've been talking, it's not a boring game. So I recommend you check it out.
Cool. Yeah, geez, I've not heard of this, but it sounds like it might be right up my alley.
Yeah.
So, let's do
SpongeBob.
We'll do it quickly because I totally bounced off of this game.
I was going to say, I don't know how much SpongeBob I can handle.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you a big SpongeBob guy?
I don't know if I'm a big SpongeBob guy. I like SpongeBob. I admire kind of the absurdity of SpongeBob. Yeah. So I'm not really the right generation for it, and I know it sounds like a cop-out. But I think I'm a little old for the SpongeBob.
I'm not the right generation for a SpongeBob.
And
this is one of the things where I'm just like, it's like when I see this pop up when I see the SpongeBob memes show up on Reddit, I'm just like, nope, that's it. I just like, this is where the line is.
I don't get that reference. Yeah,
when people post those things and they're just like, only 90s kids remember, and it's like SpongeBob, I'm like, nope, that's the wrong decade.
No,
it's one of those things.
I worked at I can say it on the show. I worked at Hot Topic in the very early 2000s, and there was a lot of SpongeBob at Hot Topic during that window. And I was late to it and kind of got into it. And you couldn't really stream episodes of TV shows at that point. You had to have DVDs to watch them. But I remember sort of watching like marathon sessions of SpongeBob and sort of admiring just how kind of absurdist and ridiculous it was for a TV show, for a kids' TV show, a thing that was sort of meant to be this kind of, childish, eccentric, goofy thing. It had a lot of fun kind of adult truths buried in it. What's the one I'm thinking of? Who's the not cat dog, but the little Ren and Stimpy. I'm the right generation for Ren and Stimpy, and that was totally absurd to like an extreme, and I loved that. So yeah, I think SpongeBob is sort of a natural progression of that.
I can see that. Yeah.
I really like Adventure Time. I've played all the Adventure Time video games. None of them are very good. But I really like those characters. I like kind of the weird post-apocalyptic world it lives in. There's a whole like meta narrative to Adventure Time that I'm super into. And I think I've pretty much seen every episode of Adventure Time. And SpongeBob sort of gets that. It's almost there. But again, it's a weird in-between spot. So when Battle for Bikini Bottom came out a long time ago, I forget what year the original release of this was. I didn't play it. It wasn't really on my radar. It wasn't a thing that I was sort of like, oh yes, I need a SpongeBob video game.
Oh, because this is the remastered version.
This is, they call it the rehydrated version. Yeah.
Of course they did.
But yeah, it's an update for modern consoles. And
when did it originally come out?
When? What year is that you're asking?
Yeah, like what platform are we talking? Is this like a PS2 game?
I don't recall. I could Google it, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
All right. Just trying to set up my expectations here.
Does not appear to be immediately available to me on the Google, so without making our listeners wait for me to search for it, I will. I will say that this is a updated version of whatever year this thing came out for modern consoles. And when I was at PAX East again this year, they had a giant booth set up where you could sort of play this rehydrated version of SpongeBob. And I was in line with somebody who was like, oh man, I loved that game. It was so fun. It's such a good platformer. It has a big world and you can kind of explore. And really, if you're a SpongeBob fan, you get to explore his hometown and go inside of his house and all this stuff and talk to all of his neighbors. And
is this like an open world thing?
Kind of ish. I mean, parts of it are gated by progress. You have to sort of like collect a certain number of gold spatulas for the door to open to get to the next place. But yeah, it's a bit of an open world. It's an open under the sea game in a roundabout way.
That's kind of cool. Then I guess I could see the appeal.
Sure. But
I mean, you really have to be a SpongeBob fan to I think get the most out of this.
Right. And I think that's kind of it, is that, if you're not there for the gags, if you're not there for like, oh man, it's SpongeBob, that's great. As a platformer, it doesn't quite work. Like, I want a certain level of like precision in my 3D platformers. I want a certain level of sort of thoughtful level design. And this is more about being like a SpongeBob world than it is about being like a perfect platformer. So I came at it thinking this is going to be kind of fun and precise and challenging, like a Spyro game or like a Ratchet and Clank or something like that. And it's not at all. It's a little floaty. It's a little shabby. I tanked a bunch of landings that I should have easily gotten if the controls were more concise.
Okay, felt blame like the controls.
That very old school thing where I was sort of like, I think this controller is broken. I really start blaming the technology for my inability to land a jump. So yeah, like, and the jokes are very, very repetitive. It's just like at some point he just starts saying the same inane lines over and over and over again. And I don't always have a point of reference for what episode that came out of or what character he's referring to. And I'm sort of like, this would probably be a lot more fun if it was a cartoon that I knew a lot about.
It says this came out on the PS2 and like that generation of consoles. So
there you go.
I feel like that's about the amount of recorded voiceover we can expect.
Right. So when the kind of the mascot platformer was at its peak, was probably that generation. And this probably slotted in kind of nicely at the time, but now it just feels like an antique. It really just feels like a fossil.
More of a nostalgia play, this one.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. So I'm certainly not to take anything away from the SpongeBob fans of the world. This is probably a far superior game to any of the Adventure Time video games that came out. And that breaks my heart a little bit, but I grabbed this thing for $10 and I probably spent an hour and a half, 2 hours with it. And I was like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, it's just solely based on that one guy's recommendation at
yeah,
Taxis.
well, and $10. I mean, like, again, I've sort of said on the show before, like, you get me in that $5 to $10 range, I'll kind of play just about anything.
All right. Maybe time to take another look at that policy.
Yeah. Well, and I like platformers. I admire sort of absurdist cartoons. And,
okay. No, I see. It's all coming together.
I felt like maybe I would sort of get into this and be like, holy crap, how did I sleep on this game? This is a great game. But that was not my experience with it, unfortunately, no. Yeah.
You ever play Simpsons Hit and Run?
I did not. No, I've never played that.
No. Do you know about that game?
It's like a racing game, right?
No. Well, so there might be a racing game in it, but it's basically Simpsons Grand Theft Auto. Where
oh, really?
They just mapped out a virtual Springfield that I guess you play as Homer or somebody, and you just go around and I don't know. I didn't actually play it because you just do Simpsons stuff in it. And I could not care less about The Simpsons, but when I heard they were making this, I was just like, man, you can like drive around actual Springfield or whatever, because that's just this fake place that exists in a cartoon, and they don't actually have to go from location to location, like drive on the streets to get there. But now you can do this in this video game. Oh. It's like, that's kind of mind-blowing to me. I'm kind of interested, even though like I don't really want to play a Simpsons game. But my roommate at the time was like super obsessed with The Simpsons. So I was just like, there's this game coming out. You should play it. Like, and I can live vicariously through you. Like, I think you'd really be into it. But I get a little bit of that sense from this game. It doesn't sound like it is a full open world game like GTA or the Simpsons game. But I imagine it was like, oh man, you can finally kind of exist in the SpongeBob world and meet SpongeBob characters and everything. It sounds pretty exciting. At least to a SpongeBob fan.
Right, exactly. And I think sometimes the game can kind of outshine the license it's saddled to. Like, I've certainly played no end of Spider-Man, the Spider-Man video game. Like, I'm not invested in Spider-Man at all. I don't care about... I'm going to get emails about this. I'm sorry, but I don't care about Spider-Man really. I don't find him a compelling superhero character. I have a vague memory of maybe seeing that first Sam Raimi movie, but mostly because of Sam Raimi and not because it was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's not a thing that's on my radar, but I love that video game. The Spider-Man...
The new one.
PS4 game, yeah, is amazing. Yeah, I guess I should be specific, but the Spider-Man PS4 game is fantastic. And that was compelling to me beyond my interest in Spider-Man. Yeah, and unfortunately, SpongeBob didn't get me there. So, yeah. I mean, I've tried before. There's a Futurama video game I tried to play. That was a PS2 original Xbox game, and that's not a great game. And I probably spent more time with that than I should have because I love Futurama. So yeah,
I think was that an open world game? I deliver packages between planets.
Kinda, yeah. I think it was a platformer. It was 3D, and it's weird seeing Futurama characters in 3D because they're
yeah.
It
was a little strange.
But yeah, I remember sort of roaming around, the home office there, the little garage that the shipping company takes place in, and roaming from people's rooms to rooms and, bumping into Amy in the hallway and stuff like that. I'm like, this is kind of fun. And it's cool that I'm, a Futurama fan and I can sort of see where these characters hang out. But yeah, not a great video game.
Oh man, licensed video games are tough.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think is there a licensed game that has had that experience where you just get to dive into this world, which you've not really been able to explore before. And man, I can't really think of any. There were certainly a few situations in like Star Trek Online where you go to this planet and you're just like, oh man, this is the planet where this thing happened on that episode, and now we can just walk around and hang out and talk to people. It's kind of interesting. But not quite in the same way as like the Simpsons game or SpongeBob to whatever degree, where this is a world which has not really been all fully mapped out previously.
Right. Yeah, just trying to sort of give it physicality, right? I think.
Yeah, I can't even think of any TV show or movie where I would want to for them to make a game like that. I was going to say like the X-Files, but then that is just like the entirety of the U.S. Right. Just every small town in the United States.
Yeah. And I've played those video games too, and they are also not great. So, there has to be some addressing of quality and content before you start talking about kind of the technological limitations of how to replicate that experience. So, yeah, I would want that from Futurama. I think sort of doing a current gen video game system version of New York with all of the landmarks and stuff from the TV show would
Futurama
be awesome.
MMO.
Yeah, you could break into mom headquarters and stuff like that. I would be all about that. That would be super cool. But I don't know if anybody is, spending $42 million to make a Futurama game right now.
I don't know. Somebody could be working on it, just cobbling it together in like Gary's mod, like one episode at a time.
Yeah. So SpongeBob, it's a thing that exists. It's not my thing. So I'm a little sad I bounced off of it, but I only spent $10 to have that experience. So be it.
You're going to go back and watch the entire series now, maybe come back with a new appreciation for it and you try this game again?
I'm not. No, I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No. I've seen a few. I've seen probably more than a few episodes of SpongeBob, and that's fine. I don't ever feel compelled to marathon SpongeBob episodes. There's a lot of yelling.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't seem
like a very old man when I say that.
So much yelling on the TV these days.
You crazy kids and your yelling cartoon.
Characters ever just get along with each other?
Yeah. So on the other end of the spectrum, I did spend some time this week with Spiritfarer.
I watched a little of this, and I'm not entirely sure what was happening.
Oh, okay. This is one of those cozy games. This is one of those. Man, everything on this episode goes back to PAX East for me so far. During PAX East 2020 this year, which was this year, believe it or not, there was a panel I sat in on kind of cozy games, and it was a bunch of indie game developers kind of talking about games that kind of gave them the warm coziest, that were sort of delightful and fun places to kind of hang out and to kind of decompress. We were all at that point sort of eagerly anticipating Animal Crossing. So a lot of these developers were talking about games that kind of gave them that kind of feeling. And one of the games they teased, which was sort of coming at that time, was this Spiritfarer. What it is this just gorgeously, fluidly animated video game about a young girl who is essentially kind of picked to be the new Grim Reaper. And she is kind of traveling the world on a boat to find people who are spending their final days of life. And you are to help them kind of ease the transition into the afterlife by kind of running a few errands for them, by cooking them their favorite meals, by, giving them hugs when they need it and talking to them. So there's a lot of like character exploration. There's a lot of like touchy-feely kind of cozy moments. But there is also a lot of kind of like resource management where you have to get a bigger ship so that you can ferry more souls to the afterlife. And your ship is this whole environment that you kind of customize and modify as you progress through the game. So you go to your drafting table and you can kind of change on the fly the layout of all the buildings on your ship. So you can build a chamber for people to kind of spend the night in. You can build a kitchen where you can cook your favorite meals. You can build a garden where you can grow ingredients on your ship to then cook to give to people for their final meals. And on and on and on. There's a ton I've not even unlocked yet. and you continue to upgrade and build and buy bigger ships to be able to ferry more souls, to build these kind of huge, elaborate kind of communities on your ship. And all of that comes with a series of ever-growing tasks for you to complete while you run around like a crazy person trying to sort of satisfy all of the kind of whims and desires of the people that you are, of the souls that you are kind of ferrying to the afterlife.
Are they just like constantly requesting or like making new requests of you, or these things that they have on their list when they show up in the first place?
It gets a little hectic, and it starts small. It starts pretty what's the word I'm looking for? It starts pretty gentle, I think. And you have sort of one character on your ship, and it's somebody you knew in kind of the world before. So there's a lot of familiarity between the two of you, and she has sort of the responsibility of kind of asking you for these things that she wants to kind of make the transition to the afterlife, but is also has the responsibility, sort of in a video game sense, of kind of teaching you some of these mechanics. And she's pretty gentle, but later on in the game, it gets much more hectic. And some of that is self-imposed. At no point does like a timer come up to like ruin your day or anything like that. There's not a lot of fail states in this, but you do have kind of this laundry list of things that you know you have to accomplish. And you can kind of like cook a meal in the oven. It's just a timer that's running down. And while that timer is running, you don't just stand there and kind of wait for it to finish. You run off and go do another errand real quick and then come back and hope to catch it at the end. And I was afraid like, oh man, if it stays in the oven too long, it's going to burn. But smoke pours out of it, but it doesn't burn. You can just take it out of the oven and serve it to somebody. So the game kind of does kind of good work at kind of giving you these expectations and you kind of self-imposing your own sort of sense of urgency on kind of these errands that you're running. But it doesn't ever kind of penalize you for being late for something or for not, having the ingredients you need to cook somebody's favorite meal. You then have to sort of chart your path to a place on the ocean where you can get that resource to cook that thing for them, because you have to cross that item off your list. You want to cross that item off your list. But yeah, no, the game doesn't really beat you up for kind of falling behind on some of your errands.
I forget when I first saw this game, but I pictured it being very different than how it sounds. And from what I saw on the stream the other day, I thought it was just going to be like a more of a conversational thing where you are helping these are they like people or animals?
Well, they are people in the real world, but when they start to transition and they move onto your ship, they take on the form of their spirit animal.
Okay, so I was imagining it was going to be a lot more conversation, and so I was surprised when it turns out you're actually just putting add-ons onto this boat, and then you're running tasks for these people, / animals. Sounds much more active than I was picturing.
Okay, yeah, it's not. I think maybe it was for me too. When it sort of popped up the drafting table and gave me the list of all the rooms I could build on my ship, I was like, oh, this is not what I was expecting from this video game at all. It is also that other thing, though. It is also you having kind of long conversations with people about like their life before and their regrets. And
maybe that was the only stuff that I saw prior to this.
It is very much a game about death and loss, kind of wrapped in this package that is pretty unassuming about that. Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the mechanics that you have kind of as the host, as the Reaper, essentially, is, and the game doesn't actually use the word Reaper anywhere in it. That's me kind of putting my title on it. But one of your functions, one of your buttons is hug. So if you get somebody who's having a rough day or is angsty about the transition or has regrets or errands they wanted to do, things they wanted to do, things they wanted to say before they made the transition to the afterlife, you can not talk their ear off by making them feel better, but you can just give them a hug. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it lands. And every now and then people, I would venture to guess, are not in the mood for a hug. But
they're dealing with things.
Yeah, they're dealing with stuff. They're in their head. They're in their feelings. But a hug goes a long way. And for a character, your character is not verbose. She doesn't talk at all throughout the course of the game. So in a lot of ways, you're kind of here to listen. And the one kind of tool that you have to kind of express anything to these characters is just to give him a hug. Yeah, and it's cute. It's
nice.
Just a beautiful, kind of a little animation of this embrace, and some characters sort of resist at first and don't want the hug and are kind of stiff-armed about it, and eventually sort of give into it, and you can see their body posture kind of relaxes, and they put their arms around you, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of a nice moment for a video game. That's not, again, what I was expecting this to be about or like. So it is an unusual game because it kind of contains multitudes, but what it is essentially about is you finding a way to help people kind of make their peace with moving on.
That's how I heard the game described.
Yeah.
Also, just going back to the Grim Reaper thing, I always pictured it as not so much the Grim Reaper, but you are like the boatman who takes them across, the river Styx or whatever.
Oh.
Which maybe that's just because you were on a boat in this. But
I didn't make that connection. I mean, you are called the Spiritfarer, so it would, boatman would be another way, I guess, of saying that. So I didn't make that connection, but that totally makes sense.
I don't really know how the boatman and the Grim Reaper coexist, or if they're not even really part of the same mythology.
It's like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
I'll
no. Grab them and put them on your boat.
Right, and then bring them to me. No. I sort of landed on Reaper because the character, you're new to this job, and there's a character, this is the first 5 minutes of the game, who looks a little Reaper-ish in the robe and everything, who gives you kind of a 2-second tutorial before they're like, oh, you're the new guy, here's what you need to know real quick. And he very much looks like the Grim Reaper. Mm-hmm. So I sort of went with that, but
Grim Reaper's your boss then.
No, he's pretty clear about you're taking over for him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess you could be both. You're the ferryman and the Reaper.
Yeah, you wear multiple hats.
Yeah, you wear many hats throughout this game, but I think those are definitely kind of the two biggest ones. But it's endearing. It's cute. I really dig it. It's tough to play a game like this kind of simultaneously with Animal Crossing, because I really only have so much patience for video games that give me a list of chores to do every day.
Doing chores, yeah.
Yeah. And, when you, like the third person is like sort of, geez, I would really like my favorite meal. And you have to sort of open your map and find an island where the ingredient for that is grown, then set your boat over to it. Like, it feels very much like an Animal Crossing kind of experience where I'm like, well, geez, I would really like, to give this person this gift on their birthday in the game, but I don't have the ingredients I need. So I have to plant 3 trees 3 days early and chop them down. And so it's this whole like list of things to endure to get to a satisfying outcome.
So you can actually build up a stockpile so you're more prepared with resources on hand?
Yes.
Okay. Well, maybe, I don't know how long you've been playing this. Maybe you get to a point where, you're just like in Animal Crossing. You're just like loaded. You have all the
everything
stuff
at the ready,
piled away.
Maybe.
Is there like an end game to this, or it just goes on indefinitely?
I'm not sure. There is certainly a progression to kind of the boat. I'm just sort of using that as kind of the indicator thus far. It looks like there are blueprints for 4 increasingly bigger and more complex boats. So I suspect getting to kind of the biggest boat that you have would be sort of like maximum Spiritfarer experience. I don't know if there's a, happy ending and the credits roll and everybody lives happily ever after. At that point, but I don't know.
It'd be interesting if this turns out it just like goes on forever, kind of like Animal Crossing, and everybody's just hanging out on this boat. You've decked out with all the amenities or whatever. Yeah,
just to turn their kind of final hours into the ultimate nonstop party cruise.
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
It wouldn't be too bad. It'd be all right. The buffet at the end of the world.
That sounds great. There better be a buffet.
Right, exactly. If you're telling me I'm in my final hours, I'm going to hit the buffet. But that's good. I can't sort of stress this enough. It's gorgeous. It is beautifully animated. It looks kind of hand drawn. It looks like My Neighbor Totoro, that kind of, what is that animator called?
Miyazaki.
Miyazaki, there you go.
I was going to say, it's got a little bit of that, the French animator, like Mobius or whoever. Well, not an animator. Well, I'm actually not sure. I know he did a lot of like comics and like illustration stuff.
But, no, I don't know if I know that.
Like just seeing this, it kind of reminded me of like that kind of like line work a little bit. Or I could be completely off, but it does have a very nice like hand-drawn look, like you were saying.
Yeah, and there's kind of a lot of subtlety to the way the characters move and interact and stuff. There's I'm a big fan of like interesting kind of idle animations in a game. If you take your hands off the I've played enough kind of platformers and things like that I really kind of dig like taking my hand off the controller for a minute and seeing what Mario or Spyro or Sonic or whoever does in the couple of minutes before you pick the controller up and start playing again. Yeah. And in Mario Odyssey, he'll take a nap frequently. He'll just lay down and doze off, and a bird will land on his nose sometimes. And it's really cute in Mario Odyssey. And there are games that do really kind of cute and elaborate ones. And there are some really, really good kind of idle animations in Spiritfarer as well.
I guess there better be. You're just spending a lot of it hanging out on a boat before the passengers show up.
There is a lot of like, you have a lot of free time on the boat. There's a lot of like, you'll set at your sort of destination for this other place. And you'll have done kind of your errands and you're sort of at a place where you're like, well, I don't really have anything else on my task list. And you can't like rush the clock or anything like that. It's not real time, but you're kind of at the mercy of your journey essentially. So, if you've done your errands and you're still only halfway to the destination on the map, you kind of are, you can lay down in bed, or you can, there's a little park bench you can sit on the thing, or if you've run out of dialogue options, there's really nothing else to talk about. So a lot of it is me just kind of going to the front of the boat and kind of sitting down, and the wind blows through your hair, and you have a little companion animal, a little cat that cuddles up next to you. And so it is a game. As much as it is about kind of like, here's a laundry list of errands for you to run, you do find yourself kind of with free time sometimes, and it's just interesting the way the game handles those.
Yeah, well, that's nice. You have a little downtime.
Yeah, I mean, you spend the entire day ushering people into the afterlife. You need a break every now and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, very cool game. Sort of does some kind of conventional video gamey things, but is also kind of telling a story and kind of creating an experience that I don't think I've had in a video game before. So that's it's unique. It's very unique.
Yeah, it's definitely a hook. I wasn't sure I'm not sure if this is the game I need to play right now, but it's been kind of on my list.
Yeah, I can see that. It's pretty light in that way. It never gets, at least thus far, it has not gotten too heavy or too oppressive.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a nice treatment of it as well, where it's a very serious subject matter, but it's not just like beating you over the head with it, and you're not like depressed after playing this thing. It's a very wholesome approach to it.
That would be very right, and I think that's one of the hallmarks of kind of a wholesome game or a cozy game is being able to kind of create this kind of warm space. It kind of gives you sometimes the luxury to kind of explore things that are a little darker or a little heavier, but not in a way that is The Last of Us kind of oppressive.
Yeah, you hear that, Neil Druckmann? Doesn't have to be all just terrible.
Man, if Neil Druckmann made Spiritfarer, it'd be a very different game.
God, that would be the worst. Oh my God.
I'm the Reaper. I'm here to smash your skull.
Yeah, that one you definitely are the Reaper. So. Oh, what was happening to you in the last 5 minutes? Oh, somebody just like cut my neck open with their switchblade or whatever.
I'm just minding my own business. I'm just hanging around in the apocalypse, and some girl lit up behind me and slit my throat.
Yeah. Just trying to play it on my Vita here. Just leave it.
Yeah. But yeah, Spiritfarer is called, this is what this is called. It's on most things, I think, at this point. I am playing it on Game Pass because they continue to charge my credit card for the Game Pass every month. And I'm looking to justify that. And it's on there right now. So if you have an Xbox Game Pass or the PC Game Pass even, you can play Spiritfarer there for kind of free.
Man, I'm thinking about the Game Pass thing on the PC. Play some Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah, people love the Flight Simulator. My little video game feed has been full of Flight Simulator this week.
It looks amazing.
I've heard there's a global run on flight sticks.
Oh, really? That's hilarious.
That was a headline I read today. It was sort of like every internet store is sold out of flight sticks because of Microsoft Flight Simulator. I was like, that's a weird statement I've not heard before.
Yeah, well, I mean, I imagine there wasn't an enormous supply of those things a few weeks ago, and suddenly
just
everybody's
collecting
playing
dust
this.
on the shelves at Circuit City.
Yeah. Oh man, I was actually thinking like when I got word that this game was coming out, I was like, this is not something I'd normally buy because, like, how many flight games do I play all the time? But like, I thought, well, maybe I'll play this if I can get something that like plugs into my PlayStation and I can play Ace Combat with it. Maybe that would be cool. But now, now there's just a global shortage on these things. Then I don't know. I'll stick to the gamepad.
Yeah, you missed your moment.
Oh well, we'll see. Maybe there'll be a flight stick renaissance because of this thing. We'll have some cool like budget options come out.
All right. I suppose we should wrap this up, right?
Yeah, it feels like it's about that time.
All right. If you need any more video game hangover in your brain, I would encourage you to follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/VGHangover. And you can always get show notes, links, and tell us what you thought about this episode at VGHangover.com. We would like to encourage you to join our Discord as well. You get the link to that over at VGHangover.com too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Join in the bug hunts. What? that must be Animal Crossing, right?
Yeah, we did a lot of bug hunt. Yeah, that was quite a thing. Yeah. Other stuff though is a lot. We've had a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn talk lately. We've had a lot of Yakuza talk. We had a lot of pictures of quarantine meals. People posting pictures of banana bread and things like that.
Oh yeah, post those bread pictures.
We cover all the topics. So if you want to hang out with us in our little clubhouse, come over to VGHangover.com and look for the link to our Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you in there.
And last but not least, please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and anywhere you can find good podcasts. And tell your friends about us.
Tell your friends about the bug hunts.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to find that last rare beetle they need before the end of the month. That's important.
Man, we are tactical about that shit. If someone needs help finding a bug, we are all over that.
Like I said, I've been busy. I haven't really had haven't been spending a lot of time in Animal Crossing, but I'll like poke my head on the Discord and people are just like forming rows to go and like track these bugs out. I'm just like, what is going on?
You need a comprehensive hard target search for this bug.
Yeah. Forming ranks is what I meant. It's not forming rows. I guess it's kind of the same thing.
Oh, I imagined it was sort of like, the scene in the movie where they all line up and walk through the woods looking for the missing kid.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought you were proposing.
Sure. No, that's what I meant. That's
exactly what DJ meant. Yeah, yes. Absolutely. All right.
Once again, we wanted to give thanks to Lemonectric for our intro and outro music this week. Go check out more of his work at lemonectric.bandcamp.com.
Excellent.
I gotta say, you know what I like about the our intro track? We mentioned before that a lot of Lemonectric songs are kind of like fruit/food themed. But if you listen to that intro, there's like a little knife slice sound effect halfway through it. Which normally I would think like, well, that's a little scary. I don't know what's going on. Why is there a knife in this song? But I just imagine that they're, slicing up some lemons or something to make lemonade or something, hopefully on the whole.
In the context, it's less threatening because it's all kind of fruit salady, right?
Yeah. That's what I hope anyway.
Excellent. All right. Well, we'll be back next week, and now I need to rewind to the beginning and listen to that because I don't think I caught it. But
yeah, a little slicing going on.
Nice. All right. Well, this is Randy Dickinson.
This is DJ Ross.
Thanks for listening to Video Game Hangover. Bye.
Good night.
See ya.